According to Wikipedia, Nancy Drew the Deadly Device is based on two different books. First is a mystery book called The Crime Lab Case, which makes sense. Second is a Nancy Drew Goes to College book called In and Out of Love. I read the first chapter of the Love book. Bess auditions for a play while Nancy's ex-boyfriend starts dating her new roommate, Nadia. I don't see the connection between the Love book and this game. Anyway, the deadly device begins with Nancy going to the Technology of Tomorrow laboratory. Victor has hired Nancy to discover who killed Nico Jovic, a brilliant scientist who has won many awards, including first place in the Ugly Christmas Sweater contest 4 years running. The main suspect is Ryan Kilpatrick, a gummy bear enthusiast who almost kills Nancy the moment she walks in the door. Don't worry though, it's not that Ryan's murdery, it's that Nancy can't go 5 minutes without almost dying. The other daytime employee is Mason Quinto, a grumpy guy with a wry sense of humor. He's allegedly a genius with multiple post-grad degrees, but I don't really believe it. See, he keeps his computer password puzzle out in the open where anyone can see it, and that just spells stupid move to me. Shortly after Nancy arrives, we have an electricity emergency, and Nancy gets to meet Gray Courtright, the grumpy security guard who hates his job.
Gray, I don't care who you are. Don't tell me. Get out.
Mason, Gray, Victor, Nico. Basically, this lab only hires grumpy people. The final employee is Ellie, whatever her last name is. I didn't talk to Ellie very much, to be honest. It's not that she's a bad character, it's that I always feel bad talking to her because she's super tired. I mean, listen, she sounds like she didn't get enough sleep last night.
Victor wanted me to show you the coil. I guess you could say you're lucky. Most people never get to see the inside of the lab. And we're not exactly up to giving tours, considering. Ready?
Poor, tired Ellie. Ellie introduces Nancy to the Faraday cage, which is a device that protects you from electrical waves. I don't know what Ellie does after that, but I hope she takes a nap. Nancy breaks into the security office, and she hacks Gray's computer, where he keeps private videos and cat pictures. Nancy also makes herself a fake key card to break into the lab while she's there, and I have to question this. For a security office, this place is not very secure. There are about 5 things in the lab which are broken, and since none of the employees can be bothered to do their jobs, Nancy has to fix everything. Of course, this means solving a series of puzzles. Along the way, Nancy finds some threatening messages that Ryan wrote to Nico. The threats are on the least threatening stationery ever. Conveniently, one of the threats is extremely specific, and it spells out the date and time of Ryan's alibi. Sort of like this: I would kill you, but instead I'm going to get a haircut at 12th and Main Street at 7 p.m. on October 3rd. Just in case the police want to know, that's where I'll be. I'm not going to be killing him, I'll be getting that haircut. Victor is mad when Ryan is cleared because now there are no more suspects. Really, there aren't. It's possible for Nancy to complete the game now without talking to Ellie or Mason ever again. Sorry if you're one of those players who likes conversations, but Nancy has suddenly become antisocial. While she is avoiding people, Nancy finds a puzzle, which leads to a puzzle, which leads to a puzzle, which leads to Nico's hidden laboratory. Naturally, the hidden lab is guarded by a puzzle. Nancy catches Gray shredding a piece of paper, which leads to security footage taken from the night of the murder. Ryan confirms the video is a fake. Mason almost gets killed because I don't know, actually. He's acting like his sleeve is caught on the machine, but that's impossible because he has short sleeves, not long sleeves. Continuity! Victor returns to the lab, and he fires Nancy for saving Mason's life. Wait, really? He fires Nancy for saving someone's life? He doesn't fire Nancy for making fun of his baldness. He fires Nancy... Okay, whatever. Well, he fires Nancy, but he doesn't know what firing is, So he gives Nancy complete access to the lab and lets her do whatever she wants. Naturally, Nancy goes inside Nico's hidden lab and she finds the real video footage of Nico's murder, which proves Victor is the culprit. Well, that explains why he fired Nancy for not killing someone. Actually, wait a minute, that doesn't explain anything. I don't understand this. Why is there video footage of Nico's death on Nico's computer? Obviously, Nico didn't put it on his computer because he's dead, and nobody else could have put it on the computer because they can't get into the secret lab. So that means Nico must have set up the computer to automatically record the video on the off chance that he would get killed that night. Yeah, whatever. Ryan helps Nancy get past Nico's security system, but before Nancy can leave the lab, Victor the murderer knocks her out. Now, Victor apparently thinks it's too easy to kill Nancy while she's unconscious, so he drags her body into the lab with the Tesla coil. It would make sense if he turned on the coil and killed her immediately. After all, that's how he killed Nico. But for some reason, Victor puts Nancy inside the protective Faraday cage first. Because when you're trying to kill someone, protecting them is your highest priority? Nancy solves the final puzzle, and Victor runs out into the lab while the deadly device is still shooting out electricity. That's a really dumb move, Victor. Did you forget that you were using the device to kill Nancy 5 seconds ago? Oh, either way, Victor gets knocked out and the Tesla coil gets turned off. Somehow. I don't know how, because there's no one in the control booth and no one can reach the controls thanks to the active Tesla coil. And wow, this lab was really poorly designed. Oh well, Nancy solved the murder mystery. Good job, Nancy. The end. Post-game follow-up. This is more of a puzzle and mystery game than a character-driven game. The characters are fine, but they're generally unremarkable. They're mostly one-note grumps with sad Ellie and quirky Ryan. I don't know why, but I still can't decide if I like Ryan or not. Sometimes she's entertaining and other times her jokes fall flat. Like the gummy bear jokes. I didn't like the gummy bear jokes. The premise of Ryan being obsessed with gummy bears was funny, but the way the jokes played out was kind of dull and strange. My favorite character in the game is Nancy's phone partner, Deirdre Shannon. I did not expect them to bring Deirdre back, and she was a lot funnier than I expected. I think it worked so well because Nancy and Deirdre didn't talk much in Alibi and Ashes. Nancy's other phone partners, the Hardy Boys, were fine, but the best part with the Hardy Boys was the end.
Your life is in danger. This is not a drill. Hang on, Frank wants to say something. Nancy, please be careful. I just want to tell you that I've always...
Frank Hardy and Nancy Drew love. It is real. I hope the next game they get together and...
Everyone else is letting me down. George is gone, and Frank is... I don't know what Frank's problem is. He's all sullen, and he keeps talking about needing to grow up and maybe get an MBA or something.
Oh dear, that romance does not end well. The pacing of the game is well done, very well done. I particularly like the final third when Victor appears and fires Nancy. Usually in these games, Nancy doesn't learn who the culprit is until the very end, but here, Nancy figures out who the culprit is 10 minutes before the end. That was an interesting change of pace, and it creates some decent suspense because you have to deal with the murderer without letting him know that you're onto him. The puzzles in this game were fine, and I like how they mostly centered around electricity and science. The one puzzle I'm not fond of is aggregation, which is more like aggravation because it is very bothersome to get through. Seriously, on Senior Detective mode, I think it takes at least 15 minutes of gameplay just solving that one puzzle. I like the game's environment, but other reviewers have complained that there aren't enough areas in the game for Nancy to explore. The thing I don't like about the environment is the slow elevator of slowness. You have to take at least a dozen trips on the elevator to beat the game, and by the time you're halfway through, it becomes torturously boring. I think I tend to give higher scores to the puzzle-based games, mainly because it's easier to forget a bad puzzle than it is to forget a bad character or an illogical storyline. Although there are some, leaps of logic in this game, to be sure. Anyway, I give Nancy Drew number 27, The Deadly Device, an 8 out of 10, because overall, I really like this game.